Hello everybody! On today's tutorial, I want to closely show you some of the most common mistakes that you can do while creating your mixed media layout. Even if you will find just one or two bad habits that you recognized from your own process, changing them will dramatically improve your layout. It is extremely important for me to mention that my motto in art is that there are no such things as mistakes, and actually some of my most beautiful creations started as beautiful mistakes. But even so, as I taught mixed media layout classes for so many times and witnessed other creative processes, and as I am familiar with the common questions and obstacles one may have, I feel like I can release this tutorial to the world, knowing for sure it will help create an harmonious layout for those of you who struggles. So with no further ado, let's get into it. The first mistake, and probably the most dramatic one, is placing your photo in the wrong place. This first step of deciding where to place your photo in many ways will determine the rest of your work. In most cases, one may think that placing a photo right in the center will be the harmless and most convenient choice, while actually it is the worst place to choose. Placing a photo in the center will not provide you with the sense of flow you are looking for your composition. In the second part of this tutorial, you will see how a slight change in the position will make a huge difference. Let's continue with another common mistake. While building your layout background, try not to spread your chosen medium in a completely random way. It doesn't matter whether you choose to stamp, doodle, or apply some texture through a stencil like I'm doing here. Too many details, spread all over your layout, will end up with a composition that stretches into more than it should and a focal point that is not successfully emphasized. One of the things that makes a layered work interesting and impressive is keeping it three-dimensional. So while building your composition, try not to keep it flat. In my don't layout here, I am hardly maintaining a distance between the elements and just placing them one on top of the other. When choosing where to place your embellishments, don't just pick a place. You have to give it some time and really think of it. Adding elements on top of someone's head, blocking their view, or leaving them with no ground to stand on, as you can see here, will create an uncomfortable sensation for the viewer. The flowers are beautiful, it's true, but it doesn't mean all of it should be seen in the layout. I think that the most common struggle my students have shown was to accept the fact that a flower or embellishment will be added to the work, but will also be covered by other elements. But this is, my friends, the very essence of a layered work. Many of what you choose to add to your creation will be hardly seen. But guess what? It is the exact thing that will make it so beautiful and interesting. The viewer will engage and unconsciously will try to figure out what it is that he sees. And besides that, the energy of any element you choose to add to your creation will stay there, whether anyone sees it or not. Choosing paints for your layout should be based on the colors you want to enhance. There is a lot of freedom in this part, so I can't really address it as a wrong or as a mistake, but as you will see here in my don'ts layout, I choose to enhance the green and the gray but the hues I chose were not accurate and damaged the overall harmonious outcome. Another bad habit you don't want to adopt is to spread your chosen color all over the layout, leaving no open, clean space. The composition area will not be distinguished and your focal point will not be sufficiently enhanced. Next on our mistakes list is not waiting or drying one layer of color before adding the next one. Maintaining a wet surface will make the colors bleed into each other and will also create puddles of colors which will not dry nicely. Colors bleeding into each other can be a beautiful thing if you're expecting it, wanting it, and making sure the colors mix well together. But it is also exceedingly difficult to control. Don't forget to seal your layout with a gel medium or clear gesso before adding colors and water. As you can see here, the paint sank into the paper rather quickly and we ended up with dried puddles and no sense of flow. Let's move on to yet another mistake, lightening the layout with a dry brush technique using a brush which is loaded with too much gesso. With this technique, you're supposed to cover the surface with a nice delicate coat of gesso. Loading your brush with too much product will make your composition heavy, will not highlight the elements, and most certainly will not unify your piece together as it should. The last mistake on our list is for the splattering lovers among us. I never end a piece without some paint splatters. But while enjoying this random act, you mustn't leave your photo exposed or you will risk having splatters all over it too. We went through all the common mistakes and now I will take you through my process once again, only this time I will emphasize the solutions and what I consider the best way to approach your layout creation. But just before, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button if you found this content helpful. When you are considering where to place your photo, you should try and think of the story you want to tell through your composition. Here, for example, the woman in the photo is standing and staring at something, which we can only imagine what it is. And right here is where the composition starts to happen. We can make the room for her thoughts and leave the right area open and clean. That is why I am placing the photo slightly to the left. When adding some interesting details to your background, make sure to spread it in the composition area. You will have a better results if you will not use the whole stencil where the edges are streaked and easily shown, but rather choose random parts of it. Next on our list is how to keep your layout as three-dimensional as possible. Make sure to maintain a proper separation between the elements. A few pieces of chipboards will provide you with the requested height you want to achieve and will make sure your layout will not look flat. Choosing where to place your element is crucial for the success of the harmonious feeling you want for your layout. As opposed to what I did before, when I was placing them on top of the woman's head, I am placing them beside her, supporting her back, and also beneath her, giving her a stable, soft ground to stand on. I am also avoiding placing elements that will block her view and maintaining the right area clean and open. All the embellishments you are adding to your layout will only partly be seen, and you have to accept it. It is not a waste of materials, and the beautiful flowers we bought will blossom happily on your canvas, which is much better than on your supplies drawer. So get those embellishments out there, use them, and don't be afraid to cover them. When the eye sees only part of something, it immediately gets curious and trying to figure out what it is that it sees. Or in other words, your layout becomes interesting. After building my composition, I am making sure to apply gel medium in order to seal my layout and prepare the surface for paints and water. The paper will not absorb the paint so quickly, and I will be able to control the direction on which I want the paint to flow to. When finally the paint will be dried, and nicely controlled drips of colors will be left. Same as in my don'ts layout, I chose green and gray as my accent colors. But here you can see how I examining the shades in order to pick the shade that will complement my photo best. So take a few extra minutes and make sure the colors you chose are the ones that will enhance your photo in the best way. The best way to enhance the colors of your photo is by applying it all around your composition while maintaining all the other areas open and clean. By doing so, you are helping the viewer eye to know where to focus. After applying each layer of color, I am drying the surface with a heating tool in order to control the movement of the paint, but also, and most importantly, in order to make sure my color will blend nicely together. After heating the first layer, the next one will maintain its vibrancy and will not bleed and mix with the other layers in an uncontrolled way, but in a beautiful and soft one. My almost last step is to highlight all the layout with a dry brush technique. Make sure your brush is not loaded with too much product and it is dry and not soaking wet. Gently give all your elements a thin gesso coat until you feel your work has achieved its harmonious, unified look. And finally, the last tip is to splatter paint freely on your layout, but only after you covered your photo. So that is it for today, guys. I hope this informative kind of tutorial will help you through your process. I would very much like to know your thoughts, so please leave me a comment below. You can also ask for future informative videos you would like to see here, and I will do my best to answer all of your requests and questions. So see you again soon. Bye bye.